What's going on, everyone? Another episode of The Brief at the Board with Brad here, tackling health and fitness topics to help you along with your journey. And today's topic is going to be, what do we do when we experience an injury, and how does that impact our ability to work out? Now, as both a coach and athlete, I've seen both sides of this over the last number of years, experience injuries that have lasted for a week to months. As a coach, interacted and worked with dozens of folks who've come through, have things that we're continuing to monitor or work on. And I've got 4 key areas that I think about, that I work through as both athlete and as coach to help us navigate how we go about working out while maybe being injured, because it is a very frustrating experience, one that we want to put off as long as possible. But with any time that as a human we're doing something physical, the likelihood is over a long enough period of time, something's gonna pop up. Whether it's just a small little tweak to something that becomes more of a chronic nagging injury, to perhaps even something that we might require some surgical procedure to help fix. So we start looking at injuries. Here's the way that I think about them. Number 1 is it an acute situation or something that's more chronic? Is it something that happened from a very specific movement or a specific moment that we felt something that didn't feel right? In that very acute moment, what do we do immediately after class in those next couple days, compared to something that's maybe a little bit more chronic, just something a little bit more of a nagging type of sensation or experience we have with a specific part of the body? If it's an acute injury, we're certainly going to want to pull back, be very, very light and easy, monitor what it feels like, what's the pain threshold, is it sort of that sharp shooting pain, or is it more of just a dull achiness? When it comes to something chronic, that's where we're going to start looking at what are the maintenance things we can do to help either get it warmed up, get it strengthened, or perhaps give us a better chance to make sure it doesn't flare up with certain movements, which we'll highlight here. So if it's acute, we're certainly going to want to monitor it over those next couple days to see what it feels like, see if there's a need to maybe move on to number 2, which would be the professional opinion. Now, I am not a medical expert, so this is my personal opinion around it, so take it what you will with a grain of salt. But if we've got something that's going on, and if it's a very severe acute sensation where that pain threshold is pretty high and it's consistently high for the next couple days, great likelihood that you're going to want to seek a professional opinion. On the chronic side, if it's something that you've been dealing with for, I would say, 2 weeks, and there's been no improvement in terms of the way it feels or the pain or what you're able to do with that body part, once again, probably a pretty good idea to go get a professional opinion. I'm a big fan of seeing a physical therapist as somebody who can give us an idea around the severity. Usually it's somebody you can get in with a little bit quicker than, say, a doctor. They're also somebody who's trained in how the body should move, and they can put whatever that body part is through a range of tests and get a chance and a sense of, is this something that a doctor should look at, maybe imaging, or is this something that with some rehab, some exercises, some different ways we can go about getting you back to health, that you might be just fine? So if something's been lingering for a little while, I recommend going to find a local physical therapist, getting their opinion, and see what they think about that particular injury as it relates to maybe some of the movements, loading, or things that you can or can't do to help you navigate it. The next thing I think about with an injury is pain threshold. And I'm not talking about how much pain you can endure or pushing yourself beyond what you should. I'm talking more, if we were to rate your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10, I, as a coach, love to hear people say that they are a 4 or less. So if somebody's got something going on with their shoulder, and say we're doing some pressing overhead that particular day, as we're warming up, we're gonna be checking in. Hey, tell me how it's feeling. Scale of 1 to 10, just working through the warm up. 2 or 3, great. That's where we'd love to be. We start adding some weight now, and we're starting to challenge ourselves with some of the strength pieces. Hey, where are we at? That one was probably like a 3 or 4. All right, that's probably where we're gonna wanna stay for today then. We don't want to exceed that. Same thing with the type of movements. If we're working into a hinge pattern, deadlift, kettlebell swing, whatever it might be, and we realize that that low back maybe doesn't feel great with certain types of movements, we're gonna be checking in, seeing how the back is responding as we progress through those movements. If we're at a 4 or less, usually that's a spot where we like to live. If we start going beyond that, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the scale, that's where I'm going to think about we got to adjust the loading, we got to adjust the rep scheme, or perhaps we adjust the movement altogether. So think about the pain threshold. 1, 2, 3, or 4 probably is going to be okay. If you start going 5 and above, we're probably doing a little bit more damage than good in those moments. So that takes us into our last piece here, which is movement selection. And I think about this because if you're part of a CrossFit gym or another group fitness model, there's going to be a workout that is prescribed for the day. And it can be really easy to see what a workout is and say, well, my shoulder's not feeling great, or my knee's not been feeling great, or my hip's not feeling great, and there's squats in that workout, or there's some pressing overhead. I'm just not gonna go today because those movements aren't gonna be great for me. And I like to get our folks to think about movement as medicine, and while there might be specific movements in a workout that we're not going to be able to do because of us working through an injury, there are other things that we can adjust or scale to. Sometimes it's just hopping on a machine and riding. Sometimes it's completely eliminating a squat, but we're going to do some of those rehab exercises or some isometric holds, or just challenge ourselves in a different way as opposed to what's on the whiteboard, so that we can continue to move, be part of the community, get some of that movement in, which is great for our physical and our mental health. And so with movement selection, we're going to start thinking through what are the things I can do that keep me at a 4 or less on a pain scale, if it's a specific body part we're working through, help maybe me progress through some of those movements to get back to full range of motion, to get back to loading the movement with some weight, to help me get back to doing the number of reps that are prescribed in that particular workout. We can adjust our movement to help us keep that pain threshold in a level that allows us to continue to progress. We can certainly seek professional opinions if something's not been getting better, or we have a pretty significant acute situation. And then we start to assess. We realize that by challenging ourselves, there is going to be risk of moving and moving load and moving for reps and trying to improve our fitness. Sooner or later, a muscle, a tendon, a joint, something's gonna wear down. It's just natural. We're stressing the body in such a way that we get an adaptation or get something to be better as a result of it. And sometimes that stress or that adaptation causes the body to just break down a little bit. Injuries are not the end of the world. Usually we can get into a mental state where we realize it's part of the journey. There's going to maybe be some moments that aren't very comfortable or are frustrating, and that's okay. But we also realize that there's going to be a progression to help us get back to, or even beyond, where we were previously. And so as you're thinking about navigating injuries throughout your fitness journey, perhaps we start to look at some of these different factors which help us to put it in perspective, create a plan that allows us to work back towards feeling great, moving well, and being able to do all those things that we enjoy doing both inside and outside of the gym. So for another episode of Brad's Brief at the Board, these are my thoughts, my personal opinions when it comes to working through injuries along your fitness journey. Not a medical doctor, this is not medical advice, so take these with a grain of salt. And if you have any of those injuries, challenges, or issues that you are working through, by all means, seek professional opinions to help. Hopefully this helps put some things into perspective as maybe you're working through or dealing with something. For another episode of Brad's Brief at the Board, look forward to seeing you on the next episode.